Hi there, this is Sew with Stephanie. I'm Stephanie Burwell, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a circle skirt with pockets. So something similar to what I have on now. The first step to making a circle skirt is measuring your waist. Once you have your waist measurement, you will use that number, add a seam allowance, and then divide that by 6.28. I'm going to put the equation in the description of this video so that you can have that for future reference. But that is key to making a circle skirt. After you measure your waist, you're gonna take whatever fabric you're going to use, and this is key. This part is key, the way that you fold the fabric. So you fold the fabric in half once, and then fold it again. I don't know if you can see that, maybe I do it this way. And then make sure you know where these folds are. And these folds are important, so make sure you have enough fabric. I would say use at least 5 yards of fabric just to be safe, because circle skirts take a lot of fabric to make. So this is how you're gonna fold your fabric in order to take your measurements for creating your waist, as well as how long you want the skirt to be. Okay, so here I have my fabric folded already. You can see that it's folded on this side as well as this side. Okay, so now I'm gonna take you through how I measure my waist as well as the length of my skirt. So I already made markings on here, but I'm just gonna take you through how I did it. So I'm going to go from the corner, measure down 5, which was the result of my circumference or waist plus seam allowance divided by 6.28. So 5, I marked 5 here, and then I'm gonna mark it again here, and then again here, right? And then to help me create the curve, you can either use like an apparatus, or you can tie like a string on the end of this. I've seen videos where people do that to make a smooth curve, but I'm just gonna freehand it. I mean, it's gonna get cut anyway, right? And then from here, I'm going to measure down 22 inches because that's where I want the skirt to stop on me, which is a little bit below, at or below my knee. So I'm going to measure down 22. I don't know if the camera's catching that, but you get it. So you're gonna measure from your waist down. This is why it's important to make sure that you have enough fabric on both sides. So I'm gonna measure all the way down to 22, mark it. On this side, measure all the way down 22, mark it, and then in the middle again all the way down, just to help me create a curve on connecting like all the dots. All right, and then next we're going to cut it out, and the end result should look something like that, right? Okay, so what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to open it up, and then I'm gonna open it up once, right? And then I'm gonna cut along here, and then cut along here, cut along this end. So I'm opening it at once. And the reason why I'm cutting this is because that's where I'm going to sew in my pocket, because I want it to be a pocket skirt. So I'm gonna cut along here and on the other side, and then I'm going to sew along the waist to make sure that the curve doesn't, so that the fabric doesn't stretch or get out of place. I'm gonna create a stay stitch just to make sure that this part doesn't stretch. All right, so I'll see you at the sewing machine. Okay, so as you can see, I created my stay stitch on the top here. Something that I realized that I didn't mention before is that you might want to loosen your tension on your sewing machine. I had it set to auto, so I just moved it a little bit over to like -1, because I realized that, you see like how it's bunching up here? The tension is too tight for this type of fabric. So that's just something that something I realized while I was doing that. All right, so now that I sewed that, the next step would be to cut out your pockets, which is super simple. Before I recorded, I did everything so that I can expedite this process. So basically what I did, you're gonna need four pieces. And what I did was just folded fabric in half like I did with the skirt and just traced my hand. So as you can see, like I traced my hand and gave it a little bit of ease. Just so that like you're gonna literally like put your hand in your pocket like that. So cut 4 of those, trace my hand around, and then cut 4 of those. Okay, so I have that. So I made my pockets. You're gonna have to make your belt loop that's gonna go along the edge here. So what I did was on the bias of the fabric, fold it in half and cut it 2.5 inches thick. I use these little what do you call these things? These hem clips to help me like measure and keep it straight along the way. So this is gonna be the belt. And then in order to make the belt a little bit stiff, I am going to iron in my interfacing. So I use a thin interfacing just to give it a little bit of stiffness, not too thick, not too stiff. So so that's what I'm gonna do. You'll see all those steps, but I just wanted to explain like what it was that I was doing and what I'm using. And all of the instructions and directions will be in the description, as well as the products that I use, so that it can help you make your own skirt as well, right? And then just while we're there at it, I also have my zipper, which is 7 inches. So a 7-inch zipper, which is pretty standard for skirts. All right, so what I'm going to do now is attach my pockets. And then you want the right sides facing each other. What I like to do is find the pockets where the hands are facing downwards. So when I sew it in, it's gonna be like down-ish, yeah, like that. And you wanna make sure you have enough space for your zipper and your pocket. So I know that my zipper is 7 inches, and I know that I wanna start maybe like 4 inches down when you put your hands in your pocket. And I'm just gonna mark that on all of the edges. And I'm gonna start the pocket right there. So I'm gonna pin that in there and do the same thing for all of my pockets. Then I'm gonna sew a stay stitch on the pocket, and then I'm gonna iron it back just to keep it back, and then we'll attach our seams and then sew in the pocket. And this is what it should look like once you sew your stay stitch. Alright, so let's iron back. Alright. And so now we're going to sew the side seams, and then you're gonna sew along the edge here, catching the pocket, and then just make sure to back stitch on the side that you're gonna add your zipper. For me, I'm gonna do the left side. All right, so since my seam allowance is, I added 2 inches, that is basically 1 inch per side, and which would mean I would sew 1/2 inch seam allowance when sewing, because basically 2 sides together equals 1 inch, and then, you know, obviously math, right? Okay, so I'm gonna sew my seam with 1/2 inch of a seam allowance. Okay, so it should look something like this. And what I'm going to do now is finish the edge. And I would usually use my serger, but since I already have my serger set up to do a rolled hem on this skirt, I'm just going to use a zigzag stitch on my machine, which is number 3. So I ironed on the interfacing to my belt, folded it in half, ironed it flat, and now I'm going to pin the belt on the inside, right, with the raw edge facing up, and then just matching the waist seam with the raw edge. I'm just going to pin along here like that. Once you're done pinning the belt, you will then need to sew on your zipper. For more information on how to do this, check out my channel for more details. I also will have another video on how I used my serger to create a rolled hem. So for now, I hope that you were able to follow along and that I have helped you create your own circle skirt. If you like what you saw, please like, subscribe, and share with anyone who might be interested in Sew with Stephanie. See you next time.